Today, I'm answering a question that I have been asked so many times, and it is time to address it. And that question is, why don't I drink alcohol anymore? So today, I'm going to address it, why I made that switch, and how it has really changed my life. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. What is up, my friend? Thank you so much for pressing play and listening to this podcast, listening to something that is going to teach you something that is going to make your life better. That tells me that you are someone who is really devoted and prioritizing your growth, your personal transformation. And I really, really want to celebrate you for that. So let's talk about today's topic. I have a big smile on my face, and the reason for it is because I have actually been wanting to record this episode for months, even years at this point. And I keep getting this question, and it really surprises me. And the reason it surprises me is because this podcast is about your relationship with food, your relationship with exercise, with your body, self-care. And so sometimes here and there, I'll very subtly drop the fact that I don't drink anymore. Luke and I don't drink, and it's just part of my lifestyle. I don't really think much of it, but every time that I mention it, either on the podcast or on social media, I get flooded with messages, with DMs, with questions about why don't I drink anymore? Is there anything that made me change the way that I relate to alcohol? Like all of these questions and curiosities. And I think I love getting your questions. And so I have had a lot of people ask me to talk about it on the podcast. So here I am, and I am always full transparency. There's nothing for me to hide. And so I have not been trying to hide it from you. There's no shame around it whatsoever. I just haven't gone around to it. So let me tell you a little bit about my relationship with alcohol. This is going to be a really powerful episode for you if you are someone who is reconsidering your relationship with alcohol. Maybe you don't like the way that it makes you feel while you're drinking, or definitely the day after. You experience anxiety. Maybe you notice that your inhibitions are turned off when you're drinking. So maybe you're not as mindful or intentional with the things that you say or the choices that you make around food. Maybe it affects your productivity. You have brain fog the next day. And maybe alcohol has always been this like part of your life socially. It doesn't have to be this extremely unhealthy relationship with alcohol. Like I wouldn't say that my relationship with alcohol was ever toxic or extreme, but you start getting to a point where it doesn't feel great. And it maybe doesn't feel like it's really adding to your life, and you're starting to question, like, do I really want to keep this around? Do I maybe want to limit this? And I've definitely noticed a trend of more and more people moving away from alcohol. More people getting sober curious, which is a term now that I don't think was a term back when I started getting quote unquote sober curious, but there's more non-alcoholic drinks. One of my friends who owns a donut business, and yes, I know, how freaking cool that I have a friend who owns a donut business. And he is privy to all of these statistics and data and all those numbers. And he was telling me that alcohol sales universally are actually way, way down, and that coffee sales are up. So I think it's just an interesting trend. And I am noticing that a lot of people are recognizing the impact of drinking on their mental, their emotional, their physical health. So, a little bit about my journey. So, I started drinking at a relatively young age. I think I was 15 the first time I remember like going properly out. And yes, I am Canadian, so the drinking age is 18 here in Canada. And I'm also the youngest of five kids. So you can bet that my parents were a lot more strict with my oldest sister than they were with me. I had older brothers to look over me. So I remember going out for the first time when I was 15, and it's just not unusual for where I grew up. I was a lifeguard, and in the lifeguard community, there's just like a lot of drinking and a lot of going out, but nothing too excessive or dangerous. But for a couple of years, I would say from 15 up until maybe 21, I would drink what some might call a lot. So I would go out, I would binge drink. And then when I started developing my issues with food, those two things definitely got coupled together. So I would definitely develop what some call drunkorexia. So I would eat like really, really clean during the week. And then I knew that on the weekend I would be going out and drinking. And so when I would go out and I would start drinking, then all of my inhibitions would silence, and the guilt that I would typically feel for eating pizza or chips or candy, for example, would at least be temporarily silenced as well. So I would drink and I would binge eat, and I would eat drunk food at the end of the night. Maybe it was like poutine. Yes, I'm Canadian. So poutine, or it was pizza, or it was shawarma. And then I would wake up in the morning feeling like complete crap, not just because of the alcohol, but because of the food that I ate as well. And, I did this for a couple of years. A lot, if not all of my friends were big drinkers as well. And so it was in the social fabric of my environment that going out and socializing meant drinking. And then it was in 2019. At that time, my relationship with food was not good. It was about control, and my orthorexia was very much present, and I was over exercising, and I wasn't eating enough, and all that combined into one night where I had a gala for where I worked at the time. It was a end of year gala that everyone talks about for months leading into it, about how much fun it's going to be. And it was just like at a regular bar, but everyone gets dressed up super nicely. I bought a new dress for it. All of my friends, we were getting together, getting ready together, doing a little pre-drink, and then we were going to this gala together. And I started drinking early, and I ended up getting really, really drunk to a point that I was puking by the time it was 11:45 a.m. before we even hit midnight, or before the night even got fun. So I ended up having to leave early, ruined my dress, and I woke up in the morning, you guys, and I have never felt so horrible. Not just physically from the hangover, which, by the way, my hangovers were already just getting worse and worse and worse as I got older. And at the time, I wasn't even in my mid-20s, but the hangover was horrible. And my anxiety was so incredibly high. There's not even any word to describe the hangxiety that I felt the next day. I felt shame that I had to leave early. I hated the fact that I couldn't remember the night. And it wasn't the first time that I had blacked out. Like, I had blacked out in my past, and it never feels good. But really, at that time, I remember just thinking, what is the point? Like, I don't remember the night. I don't remember having fun. I don't have those memories. I had to leave early. And now my entire day is scrapped because my hangovers were so bad that my mood, my ability to get anything done, my mental clarity, my productivity, all of that went out the window. Like after drinking, that day was gone. And it was that day and how bad I felt that I decided I never want to feel this way again. I never want to drink to a point that I'm hungover. Like, I didn't say I'm never drinking again, but I definitely made the decision that day. I don't want to drink so much that I feel hungover the next day. So I remember that distinctly because that was the beginning of my sober curious journey. And it really wasn't like a cold turkey type of thing because I never would have ever referred to me as an alcoholic. That's not where I was. And it didn't get to this like horrible rock bottom. But I really didn't like the way that I felt that day. So as time went on, as months and years went on, I just started drinking less and less. I didn't stop, and some nights I still had a few glasses, but I never got hungover the next day. But for the years after that, I would say maybe it's so hard. I wish I had a timeline in front of me. I would say maybe like 2 or 3 years, I would have a drink here and there. But what I started realizing was that I didn't enjoy even the one random drink. My body didn't react well to it. I started getting stomach aches and I didn't like how I felt even with one glass because my tolerance had gone so low. And I also want to say an aside, which people don't tell you, but it really was a wake-up call for me. And difficulties that come with navigating social situations. Because at the time, most of my friends, if not all, like I said before, were drinkers. And they were used to knowing me as a drinker as well. So when I still wanted to go out to bars to hang out with my friends, because I am still like a social butterfly, even I don't need to drink to have fun, I would get these pushes and these comments of like, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? And some nights I would say, oh, I don't feel well. Sometimes at the beginning, I would even go to the bar and order like a soda with lime and just pretend that it was a vodka soda so that I wouldn't get questions about it. And it was tough to navigate this feeling that people thought that I was boring or that I wasn't having fun if I wasn't drinking, which I don't know that people thought that way. People didn't make those comments, but sometimes that's the energy that I could sense. So that was difficult to sit with. But of course, now I look back on it and I'm able to see like those weren't the right people for me. Those weren't my real friends. But of course, I was young. I wasn't able to come to those conclusions at the time. But it was really difficult to move away from this identity of someone who is the drinker, who's the quote unquote life of the party, who's ordering shots, who's taking the shots, to now being the one who's not drinking or just drinking one glass and not chugging it and being happy with that being it. So progressively, I just started drinking less and less and less. And then when the pandemic hit, I was having like one glass of wine here and there. And it just really got clear to me. I don't like this. I don't need it. Like my brother-in-law and my sister, they're the best. And we spent a lot of time with them during the pandemic. I was over at their place. I was taking care of my niece. We were in the same bubble and they kept offering me wine to be good host. And I kept just being like, no, I'm okay. And my brother-in-law, Phil, kept being like, are you sure? Are you sure? And then there was one day where I had to just communicate, Phil, I'm so appreciative. And I can respect that you want to be kind and that you want to share with me. But the truth is that I will have more fun this evening by not drinking. because I get a stomach ache when I drink now. I don't like the way that I feel in my head, like a little lightheaded and foggy. And I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm not going to feel good. And it's just not worth it to me. So it just got to a point where like I didn't want it. It wasn't even like I never ever had to tell myself I can't drink tonight. That was never something that required any kind of self-control or willpower. And you're probably now seeing that there's a big parallel with my relationship with food and my relationship with alcohol. My relationship with food is not driven by self-control or willpower or discipline. I just, if I don't want a cookie, it's just because I don't want it. I don't have the urge for it. And if I do want a cookie, I'll have one. And same for drinks. If I wanted to have a cocktail, I had full permission to have it. I never told myself I couldn't. I just stopped having the desire for it. And what was really beautiful as I moved away from drinking, there's a few things. The first one is just how much better I felt physically, mentally, emotionally. Like I still have some friends who drink, and when they tell me about their hangovers on weekends, there's no part of me that misses that whatsoever. I love the fact that I wake up on Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m. I feel well rested. I went to bed the night before at like 11 a.m., maybe midnight if it was a crazy weekend night. And I feel the same way that I would any other day of the week. I love getting shit done. Sorry for the swearing. I love getting shit done on the weekend. I love being able to make the most of my days and having that mental clarity, not having that increased anxiety from drinking. Because I'm someone who does have a low level of anxiety constantly. If I didn't do all of these things to manage it, like my walking and my meditating and all of these things to regulate my nervous system, it would be so much worse. But I know that with drinking, it would just exacerbate that. So I love how much better my life as a whole feels. The things that I don't have to miss out on, right? Like the amount of workout classes or activities that I used to have to cancel because I had a headache and I didn't feel good. I don't have to do that anymore. I remember it was my brother's wedding back in September of 2024, and I didn't drink, but we were up really late, of course. And I was in the wedding party, and so I had a full day, a really, really big day in my body, and we went to bed at like 3 or 4 a.m. And then we had a brunch the next morning with the friends and the family and the wedding parties. And I felt horrible at that brunch. I had such a pounding headache. I was so, so tired. And I don't have the fondest memories from that brunch simply because of how personally horrible I felt. And so the amount of events and situations that have improved and have been marked by positive instead of negative memories because I'm not hungover and feeling like crap from the night before, it is so valuable to me. The quality of my life has just really increased, and there's not one day that I miss drinking. And a second piece that was really interesting about making this transition that people don't really talk about is that your friend group will naturally evolve and change. A lot of the people who I used to hang out with, the things that we would do would revolve around drinking. Not 100% of the time, but going out to bars, going to house parties, hanging out at home, going on vacation. There was a lot of binge drinking involved and taking shots and chugging and all of that stuff. And that's just, it wasn't what I enjoyed doing anymore. And I have no problem being around people who drink. Like, really, no problem at all. I have no problem being sober. Like I said before, I can still have so much fun and dance and do all of the things that I would do if I was drinking. So that wasn't a problem. But there just naturally develops this divide, I guess, between the drinkers and the non-drinkers, and feeling like I'm not as fun because I'm not drinking. And I don't want people to feel guilty for wanting to drink. I'm like, go have your glass of wine, have your shot, do your thing, have fun. But it just naturally, there's a divide that gets created. And so progressively, I started getting invited to things less. And I don't take any offense to it. It just so happens, like, if everyone's going to a bar to get drunk, like, I'm not going to be the first invite, and that's okay. And I started moving away from that friend group. And again, it's okay. Things happen for you. And I did go through a couple of years period where I felt a little lost and a little lonely. I still kept a few of those friends, and they're still some of my best friends today. But in terms of having this big friend group, I didn't have that anymore. And that pushed me to spend time with myself and get to know myself and get really clear on the kind of friends that I wanted to attract and manifest into my life, the kind of friend group that I wanted to have. But it wasn't this like instant thing. And I think that a lot of people are scared of the implications in making any kind of change in your life, whether it means knowing that if you move away from drinking, then there might be some people that you see less. Or if you move away from dieting, then there might be some people that you want to have distance from because they're constantly dieting and they might trigger you. And they're all part of the process of evolution. And it's not an easy pill to swallow. I want to make that clear. It was really difficult to lose some of those friends. And I can look back on it now and know for a fact that it was all happening for me. At the time, it doesn't feel that way, but it needed to happen. Because what happened is that I found, it wasn't overnight, it was progressively one friend after another, but I found this new group of friends that I cannot even tell you how aligned these people are with the kind of life that I'm creating. I'm just getting emotional even thinking about the people that I have in my life, both the people who are older friends from my childhood and the new friends that I've met. They're not big drinkers, so it just so happened that we've all found each other and that we enjoy doing the same kind of activities. Like, our idea of a fun Friday night is going to an escape room, or last week we went to a comedy show and then to an arcade. And our ideas of hanging out is usually at home. Our friends have this gorgeous, gorgeous dog, and we love hanging out with the dog, and just like these more low-key type of hangouts. And that only became possible because I got really clear on who I am and what I want and the kind of life that I want to live. And of course, Luke is also not a drinker. So when we met and we went on a first date, we went to a bar and we both had one drink because it's a first date. So you do the thing and you have a drink. And I didn't know if that meant that he was a big drinker. It wasn't a deal breaker for me. Like, if you're a drinker, that's totally fine. If you're a binge drinker that's going out every single weekend, then our life is probably not going to click very well together. But within, I think, a week of us seeing each other, we started talking about alcohol, and he was telling me, like, I'm not a big drinker. Like, I'll do it casually from time to time, but it's not something that I need or that I enjoy that much. And when we officially started dating, it kind of gave him that permission for him to be himself and for him to explore the fact that he didn't really like drinking either and that he doesn't need it and he doesn't really desire it. And I think in the 2.5 years that we've been dating, I've seen him drink maybe twice. And so we as a couple have this life where the things that are important to us is taking care of our bodies. We love doing workout classes and being active together. We love going to comedy shows. We love doing activities. Like those are the things that really bring us joy. And of course, when we started living in alignment with who we authentically are and what we want to put out into the world, we naturally attracted those things back to us. So the friends that we've created as a couple, the friend group that we have, are also people who love being active. A lot of our friends are workout coaches and instructors, and we love doing the same kind of things. And our idea of fun is the same. And you can feel when you found your people, when you're with them, and you just don't want to leave. And there's no sense of anxiety, of feeling like you can't fully 100% be yourself. Like there's parts of you that you feel like you kind of have to hide. Like I don't feel that whatsoever. I can be myself, my weird, quirky, spiritual coaching self, and people love you for who you really are. And when you feel this need to drink because it's a social lubricant, it loosens you up, it reduces some of that anxiety, then I would get curious as to what is this doing for me? What is this numbing or pushing down? Because I had this conversation with someone, one of my friends, when I was in Nashville for my friend's bachelorette party. We were a group of 13 girls for a bachelorette party, and everyone was drinking except for me. And that was fine by me. But one of my friends took me aside and was like, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I really am just curious, like, why don't you drink? And I just told her, honestly, it's just because I don't like it. Like, it's not because I have this like horrible relationship with it that I get too drunk. No, it's just I don't enjoy it. Like, I don't have fun. I don't feel good when I do it. It's just not worth it for me. And what she said to me was so interesting. She said, I don't think I could do that. And I think that what you're able to do is really brave and courageous, because so many of us use alcohol to loosen ourselves up. And I don't know that I would be able to have the same kind of fun if I wasn't drinking. And the fact that you've had to learn how to be yourself and how to have fun without that extra thing to loosen you up is really impressive. And I never thought of it that way. But I really did have to learn how to fully and authentically like strip everything down and say, this is who I am with nothing to hide. And I'm going to learn how to have fun without it. So really my moral for you, if you're someone who could relate to any part of that story, is to the first step is really just to get curious. What is my relationship with alcohol? Am I doing it because I'm trying to numb emotions? Am I doing it because it makes being around certain people more bearable? Am I doing it because other people are around me are doing it, so I feel like I should be doing it too? Am I doing it because it's part of the identity that I've held and I don't know who I am without it? Am I doing it because it's just so familiar? Like I've been doing it for so long. And again, it doesn't have to be taken to these extremes. It can be one glass of wine every night. And another thing to get curious about is this adding to my life? Is this making me feel better? Because when it comes to food, there's this saying, which is the dose is in the poison, right? So if you have an apple, wonderful. If you have 100 apples, you're going to feel like crap, right? Same with a chocolate bar or a cookie. If you have a chocolate bar or a cookie, you'll feel great. You'll feel fine. If you have 100 chocolate bars or cookies, you'll feel like crap. However, when it comes to alcohol, and research shows it, there is no amount of alcohol that is good for you. And I'm not sitting here saying you need to stop and go cold turkey and like it's bad and any of that. But all of that research that says, like 1 glass of wine every day is good for you, that's actually been debunked. And alcohol is a poison, right? We feel it the next morning. You're like, okay, I definitely poisoned myself last night. And so to get curious and start bringing awareness to how does this make me feel physically, right? In my body, in my mind, mentally, emotionally, the night of, the night after, and do the benefits outweigh the cost? Because for me, it got to a point where the cost way outweighed the benefit of having a little bit more of a loosey-goosey energy the night before. Like, it was so not worth it. So I hope that this episode gave you maybe a fresh perspective, a new perspective. It got you curious and reflecting on your own relationship with alcohol. And I really want to make this clear that I am never, ever going to be one to say what I do is what you need to be doing. And I actually still have, people in my family, my parents are occasional drinkers, and some of my best friends are drinkers. And I've never, ever once tried to impose my own lifestyle on them. But if someone comes to me voluntarily and says, I don't know that my relationship with alcohol is serving me anymore, then I'll start asking some questions. Then I'll start digging into, all right, let's uncover some things here. Let's get curious. Let's reflect on why we're doing it and what would life without it look? And what are some of the fears or the resistance that might come up for you when you think about a life without alcohol or a life with a reduced amount of alcohol? What are some of the fears that come up for you? Is it losing friends? Is it maybe your partner is a big drinker and then it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to do that with my partner. Like, what are some of the things that scare you or that create resistance? Because once you can shine some light on that, then you have clarity on the next steps. If it's around your partner, for example, then maybe it means sitting down with your partner and talking about it. Because you have 2 options if that's the case. Either you keep living the rest of your life out of alignment with what you truly want in order to do something for your partner, and that's not going to feel good and that's not sustainable. Or option 2 is to start living in alignment with who you really are and have a conversation with your partner. And if your partner is someone who says, well, I don't want to be with you if you're not drinking, then you can probably see that there's a deeper conversation that needs to be had there. Because what happens when you start living in alignment with your authentic self, with who you really are and who you are meant to be, is that the people who aren't meant for you will filter themselves out. And the people who are meant for you, and not just people, but places and opportunities and jobs, careers, they will find you. You will attract them. So please, you know what I would love from you? Number 1 is if you know someone who could benefit from this episode, who maybe has been getting sober curious or evaluating the relationship with alcohol, or you just think this was a really great conversation and I think you should hear, send this episode to them. Not only are you going to help someone in your life, but you're also going to help this podcast grow so that we can reach more people. But the second thing that I really want to ask from you is if this conversation resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, please let me know, because I truly love hearing from you. I love hearing your stories. I'm always like going back and forth in voice memos in the DMs on Instagram because I really love hearing your stories. I'm a naturally very curious person. So I love to hear about the lives of people. So let me know what resonated with you the most in this episode. Share it. Make sure to follow the podcast, of course, if you don't want to miss the new episodes that come out every Wednesday. Thank you so much for listening. I love you so, so much, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.